My name is Sawyer Salisbury, and this is my legal rights presentation. Special education is a form of learning provided to students with exceptional needs, such as with learning disabilities or mental challenges. There are 6 principles of IDEA that are very important, and I'm going to explain each of those to you. The first one is a free, appropriate public education. This states that all children, regardless of the severity of their disability, must be provided with an education appropriate to their unique needs at no cost to the parents or guardians. The second principle is the least restrictive environment. This states that children with disabilities are to be educated to the maximum extent appropriate with students without disabilities. The third principle is an individualized education program. This is also known as an IEP, which is a document developed in conjunction with the parents and guardians. It is an individually tailored statement describing an educational plan for each learner with exceptionalities. The IEP is required to address the present level of academic functioning, commonly referred to by school personnel as present level performance, annual goals, and accompanying instructional objectives, educational services to be provided, the degree to which the pupil will be able to participate in general education program, plans for initiating services and length of service delivery, and an annual evaluation procedure specifying objective criteria to determine if instructional objectives are being met. The fourth principle of IDEA is procedural due process. This act affords parents and guardians several safeguards as it pertains to their child's education. Parents and guardians have the right to confidentiality of records, to examine all records, to obtain an individual evaluation, to receive written notification of proposed changes to their child's educational classification or placement, and to an impartial hearing whenever disagreements arise regarding educational plans for their son or daughter. The fifth principle is the non-discriminatory assessment. Prior to placement, a child must be evaluated by a multidisciplinary team in all areas of suspected disability by tests that are not racially, culturally, or linguistically biased. The sixth principle of IDEA is the parental participation. PL 94 through 142 mandates meaningful parent involvement, sometimes referred to as Parents' Law. This legislation requires that parents participate fully in the decision-making process that affects their child's education. The rights of the students. The rights of students with a disability is that they get the same opportunity to succeed in the classroom as the students without a disability get. There have been many laws passed to make sure this happens. Some of those laws are the Public Law 94-142, No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004, Every Student Succeeds Act, and that is just to name a few. There are many others. Students from pre-K on are promised to get an education if they attend school regularly. All schools have special education teachers and classrooms with accommodations to ensure each student is learning the way he or she needs to. Rights of the parents and families. Parents and families have the right to know everything they want or need to know about their child and their child's education. Parents and families have the right to confidentiality of records, to examine all records, to obtain an independent evaluation, to receive written notification of proposed changes to their child's education classification or placement, and to an impartial hearing whenever disagreements arise regarding educational plans for their son or daughter. Parents and families have the right to representation by legal counsel. Parents are to participate fully in the decision-making process that affects their child's education. Parents and families have every right to know about any changes made to their child's learning routine, as well as any progression made and any regression happening. Rights of the teachers. Teachers have every right to evaluate the students as often as he or she needs to so that he or she knows what changes need to be made or if the way he or she is teaching is effective. The teacher also has the right to assess the pupil in any way that he or she feels is most successful for that particular student. The teacher also has the right to communicate with the pupil's parents or guardians as much as he or she feels it is necessary. IDEA 2004. This is a viewed Bill of Rights for children with exceptionalities and their families. It is the culmination of many years of dedicated effort by both parents and professionals. The law is considered to be one of the most important, if not the most important. The purpose of this bill, which was signed into law by President Gerald Ford on November 29, 1975, is to assure that all handicapped children have available to them a free, appropriate education which emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs, to assure that the rights of handicapped children and their parents or guardians are protected, to assist states and local entities to provide for the education of all handicapped children, and to assess and assure the effectiveness of efforts to educate handicapped children. The No Child Left Behind Act of 2001. This legislation reflects President George W. Bush's commitment to educational reform and accountability. This law reveals that eventually all pupils, including those in special education, are expected to demonstrate proficiency in mathematics, reading, and science. Annual testing of children in grades 3rd through 8th is required, with students in grades 10th through 12th assessed at least once. Because this law is concerned with the achievement of all students, test scores must be separated according to the pupil's disability, socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, and English language ability. This law emphasizes academic achievement as measured by student performance on standardized tests. This law states that no child is allowed to fail, and the teachers are supposed to do everything in their power to ensure that happens. Section 504. This enactment was the first public law specifically aimed at protecting children and adults against discrimination due to a disability. It states that no individual can be excluded solely because of his or her disability from participating in or benefiting from any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. According to this law, individuals are eligible for services if they, 1, have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, 2, have a record of such impairments, or 3, are regarded as having such impairment by others. To fulfill the requirements of Section 504, schools must make reasonable accommodations for pupils with disabilities so that they can participate in educational programs provided to other students. Learning all of this stuff will have a very huge impact on my future classroom. I have grown up in an elementary school because my mom has worked at the one in my hometown for about 15 years, so I have heard about these laws but never paid too close of attention to what they mean and how important they are. As future teachers, our jobs will be to shape and mold children into intelligent, loving, happy, and brilliant young people. If we do not know all the laws in order to make that happen, then we are only punishing the children and setting them up to fail. Knowing everything I have learned about these laws will help me be a better teacher and have successful students. Compelled reporting requirements. Pre-referral. Pre-referral evaluation may be the gateway to special education. A great deal of activity occurs prior to a student taking the first test. Pre-referral intervention, which occurs prior to initiating a referral for possible special education services. The purpose of this strategy is to reduce unwarranted referrals by providing individualized assistance to the student without the benefit of a special education. Pre-referral intervention calls for collaboration between general educators and other professionals for the express purpose of developing creative, alternative instructional and management strategies designed to accommodate the particular needs of the learner. This process results in shared responsibility and joint decision-making among general and special educators, related service providers, administrators, and other school personnel of whom possess specific expertise. The pupil's parents typically do not participate in this early phase. Referral. A referral is the first step in a long journey toward receiving a special education. A referral may start as a result of unsuccessful pre-referral interventions. A referral is a written request to evaluate a student to determine whether the child has a disability. A referral begins with a general educator. It may also be initiated by a school administrator, a related service provider, a concerned parent, or another individual. Referrals typically arise from a concern about the child's academic achievement and/or social behavior problems. Only 75% of the referrals for special education services actually result in placement. The remaining children are found ineligible. A referral must contain detailed reasons as to why the request is being made. School authorities must obtain permission from the parent or guardian before proceeding with the formal evaluation. IDEA does not require parental consent for referrals. Assessment. The first step in determining whether a student has a disability and is in need of special education is securing the consent of the child's parents or guardians for the evaluation. This step is mandated by IDEA as part of the procedural safeguards protecting the legal rights of parents and guardians. Assessment is a generic term that refers to the process of gathering information about a pupil's strengths and needs. Educational assessment can rightly be thought of as an information gathering and decision-making process. One of the goals of the assessment process is to obtain a complete profile of the student's abilities and his or her needs. By law, this requires the use of the multidisciplinary team of professionals of which one member must be a teacher. Some school districts are fulfilling this mission by establishing inter-transdisciplinary assessment teams. The team responsible for developing an individualized and comprehensive assessment package that evaluates broad development domains as well as the specific area of concern noted on the referral, such as social emotional problems or suspected visual impairments. No one procedure may be used as the sole basis of evaluation. A multitude of tests is required. Norm reference assessments are standardized tests and are linked to inter-individual differences. Norm reference tests compare pupils' performance with that of a representative sample of Sample of children, providing the evaluator with an indication of the pupil's performance relative to other individuals of similar chronological age. Assessment continued. Criterion reference assessments are associated with intra-individual differences and can provide data that are useful for instructional planning. In this type of assessment procedure, a student's performance on a task is compared to a particular level of mastery. Criterion referenced assessments are especially helpful in pinpointing the specific skills that the pupil has mastered, as well as determining what skills necessitate additional instruction. Teachers are concerned with the individual's pattern of strengths and needs rather than how the students compare with his or her classmates. My philosophy on special education. I think it is incredible that we have special education, and no matter a person's disability, they will get a fair chance at an education. A disability does not define a person, and they should get every opportunity to get an education as the people without a disability get. I think that special education is a beautiful thing. It ensures that people who have a disability know they can come to school and always feel loved and cared about. They know they will be accepted at school and not defined by their disability. I believe that special education teachers are angels. They are such important, big-hearted people. I am thankful for what they do, and I am thankful for special education. I added a couple of pictures that are inspiring. The top right-hand one says, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child. The bottom left-hand one says, the best teachers teach from the heart, not from the books. This world and the people in it could not survive without teachers. Thank you all for taking the leap of faith to teach, shape, and mold the generations to come. You are amazing. God bless you all. The end. Happy teaching.